The Night in the Tree. This story is about a group of young hikers who, one day, set out toward the Rumorosa to take a trek in search of a small waterfall, one that was well known. The trouble was that it was located a few hours into an empty, uninhabited area. They left very early in the morning. When they arrived at the Rumorosa, they geared up for the hike. After getting everything ready, they began walking through rocks and thick brush, heading toward the famous waterfall. The group split into smaller teams to cover more ground and, they believed, to feel safer, each person keeping an eye on the others. When they finally reached the waterfall, they were disappointed. The water stream was small, and it didn't seem like much. But then the real problems began on the way back. The heat and the lack of food started to wear them down. Doubts crept in about whether they could make it back. Even early on, they noticed something unsettling. The guide didn't seem to know the route very well. That alone felt dangerous, and in hindsight, it was the first warning. After a series of poor choices, the narrator and two of his companions ended up separated from the rest, trapped in a narrow gap. Hours passed as they tried to find their way back to the campsite. But eventually they realized they were lost, and worse, night was approaching fast. They said they encountered rattlesnakes, which forced them to keep searching for shelter as the darkness grew closer. They tried to make a fire, but it was harder than it seemed. After hours of struggling, they gave up. There was nothing they could do. In the end, they were forced to sleep in a tree, high enough to keep them out of reach and give them some protection. As night deepened, the three boys managed to see something in the distance, a small light shining brightly. They watched as, between the paths winding through the hills, bright white lights appeared. They seemed to be looking for something. After a while, the beings came closer and appeared in front of them. They tapped rocks and leaves in the brush, and where they touched, a pale white glow flickered, then slowly faded. And when they moved from one spot to another, they left behind small luminous traces. The terrifying part came when the beings began to approach. The boys described how the aliens seemed curious about the tree. Somehow, they had the ability to capture or sense them, because the boys felt like they were being observed. Just after midnight, the beings climbed up into the tree without the three boys noticing until it was already too late. That night, the boys saw astonishing things. Things that didn't belong in anyone's imagination. And for reasons they couldn't explain, the beings never harmed them. In fact, as the hours passed, they started to believe there was something like respect. The strange creatures didn't attack. They didn't destroy. They only watched, moved, and illuminated the forest like they were carefully studying something they didn't want to disturb. And that was what made it so frightening. Because if they could have hurt them, they chose not to.